Hello, I'm Jerry Hancock. I want to talk to you today about marriage and intimacy. It's one of the cornerstones of Men in Balance. Let me start by asking you this. If you had to define intimacy, what would it be? And here's the big question. If you ask your wife or your partner, how would they define intimacy? Would it be the same? As men, we tend to associate intimacy with sex. And it may surprise you to know that for women, that's probably not the case most of the time. They associate intimacy with something much deeper, something that has to do with trust and goodwill toward each other, and even to the point of believing you can say something to someone of a personal nature and trust that it won't be used against you in the future. To them, that's the kind of thing that intimacy is all about. So, when we are in a marriage and we are looking for our definition of intimacy, it probably is not going to happen spontaneously. We need to talk to our spouse about that or our partner and find out exactly what their definition is and whether or not we are on the same page. If we're not on the same page, it's worth a long conversation to get on the same page so that when we talk about intimacy and they talk about intimacy, we're talking about the same thing. As far as marriage goes, most of us have our typical ups and downs in marriage, but you know what? It's interesting that most fights in marriage are about the same topics. Sex, children, money. Those are the big three, and there's a few others that go along with that, the in-laws, for example. But those problems can be solved most of the time and don't require us to be alienated from each other. But too often, I think, as men, we don't know what to do with that problem, and so we let it eat us alive, or we just don't, we don't know how to accommodate it or how to even talk about it fruitfully. I'm going to suggest here that one or both of you in the marriage get counseling if you're having marriage difficulties. I know it's tough, and most men are very averse to counseling, but I promise you, if you find the right counselor, you'll probably make a big improvement in your marriage, and relatively quickly. Again, it's difficult for us to get in the right words. Men sometimes don't feel like they can express themselves emotionally like their partners can, and so it's difficult. But we can do that, and we must do it. It's hard work, but it's worth it. Otherwise, what are we facing? We're facing separation and divorce and child support payments and a reduced income, a reduced standard of living. There's just a lot of things going for spending some time in a counselor's office. If nothing else, go yourself without even telling your wife you're doing that. Go get some counseling and find out what are the issues that are bothering you. Because my understanding is, based on years of experience, that most men do have some issues, many times going back to their childhood, sometimes related to their fathers, sometimes related to their mother. Those issues need to be resolved so that the communication in your marriage is complete and it's uncontaminated and it's fruitful. I'm going to ask you to do that. I'm going to ask you to take the hard step toward asking your partner about getting counseling or getting counseling for yourself. And you might even try this. Ask for a report card. Pick out the 5 or 6 things that you think are important to you in a marriage and just ask your partner how you're doing in those areas. It'll start a conversation, and I hope you're willing to go there because that's a good conversation to have. And whatever feedback you get, your only response should be, thank you for the feedback. It should not be to defend yourself or to try to blunt the attack in some way. It's not an attack. It's just a conversation about how we might improve our marriage. I wish you the best on that. My name is Jerry Hancock. If we can help you, give us a call here at Men in Balance. We've got books on this subject, including one on marriage. If you'd like to send us a note about that, we'll send that right out to you free of charge. Thanks again for watching.